Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comics We Like and Comics We Love. We're going to be sitting here today and talking about the comics we've been reading and enjoying. And it wasn't a really great week for me, though. But Delaney seemed to have a good week. You got some good books in you read, huh? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to get Denali up here in a second. That thing is shut off on me. Nope. Don't worry about it, guys. Here we go. Go ahead and repeat that.
I said it isn't FanSpeak without some glitches happening.
That is true.
But I was saying no. I'm always looking for new titles and new stories to read. Like I said, my hobbies are collection of stories, so I'm always on the hunt for something to catch my eye and keep me entertained. It doesn't have to be an amazing story, but it has to be an entertaining story.
Absolutely.
Eh,
And looks like you picked some good ones. Um, I did read because I schedule time every week to
mhm.
read comics, and it's simply because what I'm doing here with the YouTube, I need to make sure I'm on top of it. And I did read several comics this week, but none of them I would recommend. I would say the only one that was close to recommending was this one called Antarctica. Have you tried that one out?
No, no,
Yeah.
I haven't. What
Uh,
was that one's about?
well, they find this thing frozen in ice. There you go.
Hmm.
Take it from there. But
Okay.
so it's pretty standard. But I thought the story was interesting. I think the art's pretty good. It's not fantastic, but it's pretty good. But actually, the artist in that is really good at doing like vehicles and backgrounds. Really good backgrounds. The people are they're okay. They're okay. But the art's overall is fine. And the story idea is fine, but it's just the writing. It's so clumsy and so unsophisticated, and it's to a point that I can't recommend it. It's that the writing kills it, not the story, not the art. The writing kills it, so I can't recommend it. But I would say that Antarctica, maybe you'd like it if you can get past the clunky writing, but it is interesting. I think I will read the second one though, which is odd that I'm not recommending it, but I think I will read number two. But everything else I read was really not good, so I can't recommend it. So this week I have nothing to recommend because I didn't read anything good. Although I did read the second Kelly Sue DeConnick Aquaman. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it's still pretty good,
Yeah.
and I'm interested. The art is fantastic in that book, but
I won't deny it. I read
yeah,
it as well.
yeah. But once
Um,
again, it's not really on my recommend. So, anyway, we have
that's issue 2. So
it is, it is. We're
so
waiting
we'll
issue
see.
three. I
We'll,
know.
yeah,
um, we got Manny in here from Good Dog Press. He says aloha, aloha to you. We see Joshua in here, and we see Snake Bit Goat. Very interesting name. Which comic is this? I was talking about the Antarctica right there, but we're gonna get.
you don't you don't have a picture for it
No, I
to show
didn't
them.
prepare one offhand because I wasn't going to suggest it, but I mean I can bring one up, sure.
Yeah,
I'll
because
go over here and do that.
sometimes they just want to check it out themselves, anyways, just to see is it as bad as you say it is,
Sure.
or you know.
Well, like I said, it's so near not bad actually. That I almost want to recommend it, but I just can't. It's one of those kind of things. Let
Right.
me go. I'm trying to find it here.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think that's one of the things. And that kind of falls on the editors as well because they should be like saying, "Hey, you may want to structure this a little bit better," or
Yeah, no,
you know,
you think, right?
right. But then we know what kind of editors they have right now,
Hmm.
so it kind of becomes a moot point. Or maybe maybe we have too high of a bar expectations.
Maybe. Um,
You know,
but then again, oh, gee, I think I've mispronounced it in my head, and now I'm misspelling it. It's like Antarctica, but it's something a little bit different. Um,
in Arctic.
Antarctic. Thought I had an A on the end.
Antarctica with an A.
No. Nope. 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 Hmm. 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 Let me see here if I can't. I know where I can go find it. So, but anyway, while I'm doing that, let's come over
Mhm.
here and let you talk about these. I'm especially interested in the TKO one. If you could talk about that a little bit, and because yeah, just to, explain how you got that, what TKO is, and this comic itself, please. I haven't read it at all. That'd be interesting
All
to
right.
find out.
Okay. So once you start sharing, then I'll start talking.
I am doing that right now.
All right. So this is actually written by Su Shan and Mike West. Um, and they're the writers for the fearsome Dr. Fang.
Hmm.
Uh, Sushan is actually the publisher for TKO, so this is publisher made, and it's about kind of like set in the 1930s kind of deal. You can check out the first issues. The first issues of all their comics are available for sale. That isn't for pre-order. Is available for you guys to read. I picked up the. I didn't pick up the single issue. I picked up the trade back
Hmm.
for this, just to keep myself organized. Organized. But I've been liking. This is really about uh, the younger brother called Nayland, who's after the fearsome Dr. Fang, because during one of their early, I guess, missions or detective work that he and his older brother were doing, his brother got killed during the mission.
Hmm.
So he's after the fearsome Dr. Fang, and during one of the jobs he was doing, the impious Dr. Fang shows up and he's chasing after him. And the girl is connected to Dr. Fang, but I won't say how. You guys can read the first issue and check it out. But it's really an adventure, kind of like the old classic
Well,
kind of feel.
well, it looks a little bit like the Yellow Claw or the Fu Manchu or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
So it
those
has
old
elements of the,
serials.
yeah, yeah, it has those elements.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
And because it's TKO, you got all of them. And so what is that? How many are there with that
there's
download you
six,
got? There's six.
six, right. So it's a full, I guess, volume that you
Does
get right up front.
does the interior match the cover?
Yeah, actually it
Oh,
does.
sweet. All right.
So you see the cover, that's the interior as well.
Hmm. No, it sounds like one I should check out. It's I like what they did with the cover, and I like those old serials, those old noir type of those radio shows that they turned into comics or black and white movies and stuff. Those were a lot of fun. I enjoyed the Fu Manchu stuff quite a bit. But it certainly seems something interesting. And just keep in mind, guys, while we're talking about the books we've read and we've enjoyed, tell us what you're reading this week. Let's talk about those too. Now, I did find that thing finally. Let me bring it over here and show it real quick. This is called, it's from Delcourt,
Hmm.
and it's called Arctica. So I knew there
Yeah.
was an A at the end.
So
Arctica.
that's what I was saying. Yeah. So that's what I was saying.
Yeah. But I thought the art was really good. The interior looks just like I can show a little bit of the interior. The interior looks fine. It's not bad art at all. It's just the writing is so clunky. It's not how you write things, is the problem really for me. And I thought the story was really interesting what I saw.
Could it be from a second language? Because it looks like
Hmm,
the writer might not be native English.
it could be. Um, but it's just it's like they're over explaining things that are not needed to be explained. Um, uh, like for
So
instance here,
too wordy,
yeah,
repeating themselves.
he says
So
he's got this AI on the helicopter. This is in the near future, basically, and get the AI here, right? And the AI says, he says, "My life is in your hands, X27. So don't start having any technical difficulties or whatever. Well, I'll give the signal. You stop the pulley, okay? Stop. Right. Now I need to fish this jumble out of the water. Don't know what that means. Seeing as it's covered with thick layer of ice, I'll use microporous thermatic hooks. They'll top notch for the sort. Sorry, I do not understand the expression top notch. It is not in my dictionary. What does it mean? You know, and then he goes on and explains in deep detail. It's just, and it gets really clumsy too. The writing. It's too bad because I think the art's pretty good. The idea is solid.
it
It
sounds like he's doing like a radio show.
almost it
Uh,
is. That's
oh,
a good way. It's
be-
as if I was listening to a radio show, right?
yeah. So if
Yeah,
you got rid of it, then I could understand why he would be over explaining things,
maybe.
or
Yeah,
or or maybe the letter mistook the dialogue. You know, I don't know how the script was given to the letters because some when we were speaking with Eric Winters or Weathers, excuse me, he was saying sometimes the scripts he would have to figure out what was the intent of the writer and artist when he was putting those letters, and they weren't really clear on what was dialogue and what was description.
yeah. Well,
So that could also be a case of that.
it could be.
But
And like I said, it's a near. I'm going to get rid of it here though. It's a near suggestion from me. It's just I can't get past the absolute clunkiness of the dialogue. But like I know, maybe you guys will like it. And like I said, I'm going to read the next one because I like the idea that's going on in it, and maybe it'll get better, right? But unfortunately, that's the only thing that even comes close to for me recommending this week. I made some poor choices, I guess. Well, like I went to read the new Lucifer, and because I figured that's
yeah,
Sandman, right? So it's going to be good. But ooh, no, dude, that's a rambling bunch of nonsense. I didn't like that at all.
yeah,
Mm-mm. And Perth Comics says the white spacing in the word balloons looks off. Yeah, there's a lot. It's the whole writing in itself is off. If you just
yeah.
took all the words bubble out, I'd enjoy the comic more, which is not a good thing, right? But I got George in here. He's greetings. He says, "Well, hello. Just keep in mind, guys, if you could hit that share button and let everybody know what's going on and bring them over here, that'd be really appreciated." But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the Fearsome Doctor Fang. I think I'm going to go check it out. How much did it cost you to do this TKO? Get these 6 issues.
Uh, the digital is 13.99, and if you want the book, it's 17.99.
Wow, that's not much difference at all.
Right.
But of course,
Um,
I'd probably have to spend $50 just to get it shipped to me. So no, thank you.
well, you can get the digital for 13, and that'll
Yeah,
be suffice.
that's true. All right. Well, it's interesting that it seems like this is the first TKO book you've read, or is that Sada part of the T?
Sarah is part of the TKO.
Okay, so this is the second one. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you think they're making money? How do you think they're doing?
They're making. I think they're making money because um, Sushan said that they're actually making second printings for their books.
Oh, awesome. Well, there
So,
you go. That's cool.
so I think that's a model they're doing print on demand. So once they sell out, they start printing more,
No, it's a good
and that's
idea.
a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of research for the printing on demand stuff for the Tales from Beyond the Gate, right? Trying to
Hmm.
make sure we have good options and things. And yeah, it's really interesting. You can actually do your own book pretty easily, making a comic book. I think some of the legal issues are where it gets complicated, although I don't think you have to do those things necessarily. But yeah, it's good, man. And let us know over here if you guys in the chat, if you guys excuse me, have you guys tried out any of these TKO Studios things yet? It looks like they're swinging. They're coming out swinging. They're trying to make some really good stuff. So let us know here in the chat if you're doing that. But let's move on to the next one here, Danelli. Now, I haven't read any of the rebirth of Hellblazer, but I've read a lot of Constantine. So it's certainly a character
All
I
right.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is dealing with the fallout with his new curse, his magic being affected, and him just being Constantine, basically.
Yeah,
It's written by Simon Oliver, and the artist is Morty Tat. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, so I do apologize to the artist. Um, and it's really interesting, and it has Swamp Thing already in there as well. So
oh sweet.
it's always cool to see Swamp Thing. He's one of my favorite characters.
Well,
Um,
Rebirth was a real strong attempt by DC to straighten the ship and put out some good quality stuff. I mean, it was a real, they really tried hard, I think, with Rebirth. And, you know, I appreciate the effort. You
yeah,
doing
because
great?
sales picked up. No, sales picked up tremendously
They did.
for Rebirth, but it's kind of like you just crashed into the side of the reef, so you're still licking all the holes.
True.
So
That is true. New 52 hurt him quite a bit. George says
yeah,
first he's ever heard of TKO. Well, it's a new service. It's kind of like Netflix in a way.
right,
You go over there, you buy the product, and you get all the comics at once. It's not a monthly
yeah,
thing.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and they give the first issue for free to try out.
Oh, there you go. But it's a cool idea. I
So
want to see how it does, and it seems to be doing well so far. But tell us
yeah,
what's going on in here. You mentioned a curse. I don't even know about that. What's going on with the curse?
so well, I don't want to spoil it for those who are Hellblazers. Basically, he does a shenanigans and he gets cursed by a demon. I won't say which demon because that's part of the storyline. Um, and it affects his immortality and his ability to use magic.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So basically, he's like has to be careful how he uses magic because if he uses magic, it may trigger the curse to drain his life force and everything that he can't regain.
Oh, wow, that puts him in a pickle. That's
Yeah,
kind of weird. I mean, he's always ticking off demons anyway, but that kind of puts him in a pickle because he's not really that great a magician or wizard anyway. I mean, he's always screwing
right.
up anyhow.
Yeah,
So they put an even heavier caveat on him. That's kind of rough.
yeah. So basically, it's him trying to bumble his way through without triggering the curse and trying to remove it, and that's what the storyline is for this. And his issue ends. This run with Hellblazer has already ended, and it starts again with Justice League Dark. So this actually leads up to the current run of Justice League Dark.
No, I see. Yeah,
So
and that does
that's
sound
why.
interesting. The Justice
Mhm.
League Dark with all the magic wielders and stuff.
Right.
Hmm. You know, one thing I've thought about before is you remember the Keanu Reeves movie, right?
Oh
Which
yeah.
isn't Constantine at all. It's not at all. It's a fun movie, but it's not Constantine. Now the TV show was
Right.
quite accurate. I thought it was pretty good actually, the TV show. But what I was thinking, I've thought since I saw that movie, it'd be nice if they did a spin-off with another wizard because Constantine's not the only one, right? I mean,
Right.
of that character because the Keanu Reeves Constantine, it's not Constantine, but it would be a cool character to have in the canon,
Yeah.
on
Wizards that
unto
uses
himself.
gun.
Yeah, well,
Gun
just give him a
mage.
different name. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. Well, anyway, but here we go
It's the
to
bull, the gun mage.
yeah.
Get it? Because Constantine is the bull.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
move on. There's other things now. Here, um, we have another a couple of ones now. Let's start with Oliver. Um,
Right.
now, I actually read this
Mm-hmm.
with Brad. Well, actually, I had to go read it. I skimmed through it with Brad, and then I went and read it myself later. Um, and you're recommending this book, and I read this book as well. So, tell me why you're recommending this book.
Well, it's supposed to be kind of like Oliver Twist, except it's a superhero in a post-apocalyptic setting.
Hmm.
The people that are raising him are actually manufacturer soldiers.
Yeah.
homegrown facility. So it brings that humanity. It's like, is the humanity from being nurtured, or is it biological nature versus nurture?
Hmm.
So is he more human because he's been raised by these soldiers that have been grown, or is he human because he was born, you know, unlike them, kind of deal? And
Sure.
it kind of intrigued me.
Oh, I see.
So
Um,
yeah,
because I read this as well this week, and it's I not recommending anything this week, because um, the thing that really I didn't like about this was I didn't really care for the story. I thought it was kind of boring. I kind of get the let's see where they got to go with it. It's the same thing with Antarctica, where they got to go with it. I get that understanding, but the thing that really put me off of this book is the art because
really.
the yeah
This is this is
this
the
is
same.
another what.
This is the same. This is the same artist as of the boys.
I understand that, but this is not good here though, because the backgrounds are killer. The backgrounds are
Hmm.
really, really good. This artist is really good
Yeah.
at that, but the people are not, dude. And the boys is not the most amazing art book in history. It's certainly not. The story is what carries that. But
Right.
yeah, I really didn't like the art in this at all. Really, really, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting well, if you get past through it and just focus on what the writer's trying to present, it
Hmm.
actually is kind of interesting. I think you were kind of distracted with the
Maybe,
whole
maybe.
art thing
Yeah.
because
Um,
you're very picky with the art.
I am. Well, I'm a finicky, biased person in my nature, so but yeah, I didn't really care for this book, but that's cool. Differing opinions is always good. Now, keep in mind, guys, over here in the chat, if you want to throw down what you're reading, we'd love to talk about that too. And I see John Dillard Game the System is in here. He says, "Is that Oliver Twist? Is this Oliver Twist?" Yes, it is, dude. It's a futuristic, post-apocalyptic Oliver Twist. And actually, when I was talking during the new comic reviews on Wednesday with Brad, um, the I've seen a lot of TV series, movies, comics been kind of going back to this Oliver Twist theme and bringing it in. Like one of the most notable ones would be like Solo, right? The Star
Right.
Wars movie Solo. I mean, that's full on. Starts out as Oliver Twist. That's exactly what it is. And Han Solo is Oliver, right? I mean, that's what
Hmm.
and we've been seeing a lot of it. And I'm kind of wondering why 2016, 17, and coming in 2018, why this
Well,
theme has come
probably
back.
because most of those writers are the same writers that are writing these comics. Greg Welta was the writer for Rogue One,
Hmm,
so he's probably in the same circles of all those other writers who are doing that theme.
yeah. I just, I'm not sure if I'm that interested in Oliver Twist themes, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter, I guess.
Yeah,
But guys, check it out. I guess it's the story is not horrible. It's just kind of boring, I thought, but it is a twist on the twist. But the art, oof. But give it a try. Now, this other one sitting here, Janelli. Now, I haven't read this at all, but boy, look at that cover. Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. Sounds interesting.
yeah.
Tell us about it.
So it's dealing. Well, it starts out with a crime committed with a young boy stealing a necklace from an old man, who starts recounting a little bit of how he stole the necklace. The old man is going senile, and he thinks that the young boy is his grandson, and it isn't. Um, and the young boy then pawns off the jewelry that he stole from the old man to actually bail out his old man, which is the guy with the in the cover right there.
I see.
And when he finds out what his son did, he has to make amends. So it starts up this chain of events of him trying to protect his son from being killed because he stole from a known legend mobster, and he has to come up with the money, and that's basically the setup for this title.
And this doesn't have any supernatural element at all. This is just a slice of life story.
This is a noir
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of deal.
Cool. Well, those
Yeah,
are good too. The art is really good. When I was
Yeah,
searching for this cover, because I usually throw the covers up because we're not spoiling anything, right? But
right.
when I was looking for the cover, of course, I saw some of the interior art as well, and it looks good. Good looking series. I haven't read anything of it, so I can't suggest on it, but the people involved are pretty good. So
Definitely. So if you like Ed Baker's and Sean Phillips' works, this is another title for you guys.
there you go. And John Dillard says, and Chewie is the artful dodger. Yeah, I get the joke, but actually, I think the girl is probably representing the artful dodger.
Yeah.
Artful dodger. Dodger. Why can't I say that? What was her name again? I can't even remember her name.
Kira.
Kira. Yeah, she was so. Oh, that movie was just so forgettable. No, it really was. I mean, they screwed the pooch on that. It really surprised me
I
because
I kind of laughed because it was like, eh, it's a good movie if it wasn't called Solo and it didn't have Han. It would have been a good movie
yeah,
by
but
itself.
even then, I don't agree with that because the movie didn't know what it wanted to be. One minute it's starting out as Oliver Twist, and then it's Saving Private Ryan, and then it's Dune, and then it's this and that. It's constantly changing its face. It has no consistency. You know exactly what's going to happen from the very beginning. There's no. I'm not surprised by everything that happened. And if you watch the first 30 minutes of that movie, you know exactly how it's going to end. It's just, it was a poor outing. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're not here talking about Solo.
No, I just what I'm trying to say is without getting too heavily negative because I have choice words. I'm just saying by itself it could be good. In the whole context of the larger scheme, it's unneeded.
Oh, it was definitely a wasteful movie, which is too bad because, man, Disney has really failed on that, man. And we know Disney's got to be Disney. They're going to do what they do. It's all about money and the suits and stuff. We get that, but you would think they would at least be passable. And the only real Star Wars thing they put out that was even passable was Rogue One. Everything else is kind of nonsense. Even The Force Awakens is just eh. I mean, it was
Yeah,
nice. It just I don't know how they screwed up so badly. But
yeah. There was a lot of moments that I kind of questioned. I was like, this doesn't feel right.
yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean,
And,
even The Force Awakens, which most people just give a pass. But if you go and actually turn your brain on and watch that movie, it is riddled with plot holes. I mean,
yeah,
riddled with them. It's
yeah,
really a mess. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about
yeah.
comic books. But
Right.
there you go. You got Oliver here, which is a suggestion from Denelli, and a not so big suggestion for me, and Criminal, which I think I'm going to check out actually. And then our last two we have today, because unfortunately, guys, I like I said, I read a bunch of books, but I didn't have anything uh, to advise. Now I did read Sword Daughter, but it's already on here for Denali, so I'm happy to talk about that.
No, yeah. Go
American
ahead.
Vampire. I thought this was an old series. This is some Vertigo's brought back or something.
It's still an ongoing series. Right now it's in hiatus because of all the DC stuff that uh Scott Snyder is doing it. But I've actually been reading this second cycle, but but I do like the first um story, which is the original American Vampire. You
Oh,
know,
I see. Now
yeah,
I've never read any of the series, so I don't know anything about it. But it does say Stephen King on the cover.
correct.
So this is one of his short stories or something?
Actually, he helped develop these characters, and he
Oh,
actually wrote, I think, the background for the Sweetie Tooth, which is the gunsman right there in the foreground.
no, I see.
Scott. So there's two stories. The one dealing with the past is Sweetie Tooth, which is right in the foreground, and the one that Scott Schneider is following when is Pearl, which is his child. The one he creates afterwards, and they're dealing with the lineage of the American vampire because he's a new breed of vampires that has different weaknesses compared to the other vampires.
Okay, that's interesting. And we know with Stephen King, The guy can't write a novel to save his life, but his short stories are killer. So, I
Right.
mean, a comic book is much more of a short story format. And I kind of would trust Stephen King to get that right. I mean, because of his, we have so many years of decades of his work, and he's a really good short storyteller. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, so it deals with two parallel timelines. Right, it focuses on her more, and then it focuses on him, and then it goes back and forth
hmm. Oh,
throughout the
cool.
series.
Maybe I'll check this one out. Now, the old series, I don't know, it was years ago. I saw the original American Vampire, and I kind of did flip through one book, but I was like,
Hmm.
no, thank you. How is the art? Is it improved, or is it kind of what we're seeing here on the cover?
It's well, if you're looking at the old ones, um, you have to kind of not focus on the art so much because it's a little bit early stuff, but the new series, it looks like he has improved his work from the original series.
Mm.
I,
You
I will grant him that.
you keep telling me to not focus on the art, but this is comic books,
Right,
man. So,
right. If you focus on the art, you're not gonna allow the story to,
mm,
um, because you're very picky.
I
It
am,
sounds like,
I am.
and and if you're already put off, then you won't give the story a chance and actually kind of let the story take you. I know that the mantra with all of us is, you know, the art is the one that pulls you in, the story keeps you.
Yeah.
Um, but I would have found these little gems more or less because if did that, I had to give it a chance and say, I'll give it a chance. That's why I always give, a lot of issues, 10 issues to give the story a chance if the art isn't up to snuff.
Well,
And,
the reason I'm picky, it's the same reason I'm picky for what I eat, right? Um, I'm one of those type of people, being an old world Celt, where if I eat bunch of sugar stuff, I'm going to get fat, seriously fat, right? So
right,
I don't eat a lot of sugar because I don't want to be, I got a little bit of a gut, but I'm basically pretty healthy. So I don't want to get too overweight, right? I want to stay in a healthy state. So I can't eat too much sugar, but I love sugar. So I choose the sugar I eat very, very particularly. I don't eat candy bars or other little just nonsense things. When I eat sugar, it's a high quality thing. I'm very picky
right.
about it because
But
I have to be. And
but
with comics, it's the same, right? Because I don't have time. I literally have to schedule time to read books. So I don't want to
right,
waste my time reading something because I only have limited time. That's why I'm picky about stuff.
right. But in this case, you're comparing this to different types of food that you haven't tried because it doesn't look as appetizing. That's that's that
I
you're
get you.
saying
No,
sugar.
no, I
Yeah,
get you. Yeah, I live in Japan though, but I understand the reference.
yeah.
Snake Bit Goat has a good question here. I think he says, wait, American Vampire still going on, or did it reboot? It's a good question.
It's still going on. They're currently on hiatus. They did a second cycle that I'm reading through right now.
Hmm.
Um, which that run has been completed. And there's going to be a third cycle, but it's right now it's and I hate it, and I hate it, but I can't say hate it right now. Until because of all the DC stuff that Scott's doing at the present moment with
Now,
Batman, Justice League, and all that stuff.
yeah, no, he is busy. Now I do have a question though. When I flipped through this, and this was whenever it first came out, I think, because when it was a new
Hmm.
thing, so I checked it out. I don't know how many years ago that was, but Um, it was set in modern times. This seems to be set in like the 30s or 20s.
Yeah. So when the story opens up, this is set in the 20s because that's where Pearl comes from. Sweet Tooth is actually earlier than that, 1800s,
I see. Yeah, well, he
and
kind
then
of
it,
looks
and
like it.
it and then as the story progresses, it comes forward in time to closer to the modern times.
Yeah, I see.
So probably whatever book you flip was closer to the modern times
Yeah.
than the
Oh,
earlier
it definitely
issues.
was. Yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, I will give it a try. Um, And now this other one here, this Dark Horse book, Sword Daughter, this was part of our homework. So I definitely read this because we were going to have Mac Chatter on, but he had some kind of scheduling conflict, and we're going to try to have him on another time. But luckily, Todd went and got Travis to come on, and that was actually a really good interview. I enjoyed talking to him, and looks like we made a friend and got someone over here in the community that's going to be interacting with us, and that's really cool. But we will have Mac Chatter on again, or on. But this was our homework. So I went and read this, and as did you. But you seem to enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So, well, what do you tell us about? As I've been telling all these.
Well, I didn't really think much of it, to be honest with you. I'm not a. I don't hate the art. I don't love the art. It's stylistic, and that's totally cool. And
Right.
some of the panels I really enjoyed, other panels I don't. But you see the cover here. The interior is very similar to what's going on. I mean, it's not as you know uh, artistic, I guess, with the kind of what they're doing here on this cover. But it's very much the same. Some of the panels I really like, some I didn't like. If you look here with this man's face, I think it's a pretty good face, but the girl's face is off. But I've noticed a lot of people. And tell me what you think about this. I've noticed a
Mhm.
lot of people when they draw females, they make their heads too big. This seems to be a thing I notice with many of the artists, and I'm kind of wondering why you think they do that. Why do the women always have too big heads with a lot of artists today?
Because of the forehead, they don't really know how to draw the forehead for hair for women, and that's
Maybe.
why kind of throw out. So if you kind of take off an inch, not even an inch, half an inch of her forehead, it actually looks normal.
Hmm.
Or add hair to it, so it looks like she's balding, sort
It
of.
does. No, it's true. You're
Um,
right. It's the forehead, but because I see a lot of people screw that up. Just too big heads. You got to shrink those heads down, guys. And maybe Denali's hit it there with the forehead is the issue. But this is another one that it depends on the angle actually when you read the book. But yeah, I'm kind of hit or miss on the art. It's one of those
yeah,
strange things that some panels are really good, right?
yeah.
So,
So if you kind of look to the one on the right with Pearl on the infant, see her hairlines, without that hairband um, covering her forehead, her hair would be the same length. It would make her look off. But because she has that band around it, it looks normal. And that's the same thing,
true.
kind of deal.
Yeah, well, that's one way to get away with it, huh? Because I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the guy, his forehead's just fine, right?
Yeah. But we're used to seeing men balding. So it doesn't,
True. Hey, my hair looks
doesn't
like
make,
that. What are you trying to say? Hey,
wait, your hair looks like that.
yeah. Um,
Mm,
but no, I did flip through it. I checked the art out, checked the bit. Mainly I was focusing on the art because it's an artist that's coming over to talk to us. But the story seemed pretty straightforward, the same kind of thing we see all the time. I can't say that I paid much attention to the story. Did you find anything interesting about it?
well, it's basically a long flashback
Yeah.
of how her dad kind of raised her, being a Viking warrior, and then dealing with her enemies. And you kind of get some glimpses of it. You know, I kind of enjoyed it. Um, it's one of those stories that, maybe because I've tried so many stories, I allow the story just, even if it's plain, there's some texture to it, and I'm just trying to let it just go through and just have no expectations.
Mhm, sure.
I
Well,
don't know. So,
well, I felt that, like for instance, something I've read recently.
mhm,
Well, I didn't read it. I watched it being read. But I felt like a much better version of this, which this is so common. We see this all the time, right? This is a super common story.
mhm,
But a better version I've seen recently was actually Mike Miller's Six Gun Samurai. I mean, it's basically flashing back and showing how he got where he was, like as you have to do when you're opening a story and creating the origin of a character. But I like the way he did it a lot better than the way this book has been done it with. Let me see the artist, the name Brian Wood wrote it. I just
yeah,
thought that Mike's was a better version of the same story. You know what I mean?
Which is kind of weird because I think a lot of these current writers they write it as like they're writing a novel, so you have that slow beginning where Mike comes from, early on with comics where you
That's
have
true.
to give the first impression and go action pack and kind of hook them.
That's true. Because during
These
during the
days,
during a contemporary action event that's taking place, we're getting information from we're getting the flashback during that, and we keep coming back to it, so it
mhm,
keeps the pace high. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's really more kind of like this is mm, it's a slow pace, but if you kind of are a type of reader that can enjoy a slow pace kind of thing, then you have no issues with it.
Hmm.
I like I said, I've been reading so many different type of paces it doesn't affect me.
Hmm.
So, you know, I can enjoy a story for what it is.
Oh
And
no,
if
no.
I don't like it, yeah,
I'm not hating on the book at all. I'm
yeah,
definitely looking forward to reading more of it. I think it's fine. I would even recommend it. It's just not the most favorite thing I've read so far, and it might get better. And the art is really good too. It's just I just don't understand why people can't do the female head right, especially because when you look at the other some particular panels, they're really good. I mean, there's some really good art in this book actually. It's just inconsistent for me, and it's also extremely stylized, and that just comes down to choice, I guess.
yeah, definitely. I mean, not everybody's artist that can say, "Hey, maybe," but I think faces, and this is something that Travis said the other day.
Mm.
Faces and hands are very hard to do for artists.
Yep,
Bodies they can get away from it, but if you
that's true.
see if there's a wrong detail, you can pick it up because we look at faces so much. So I would guess recommend if you're up and up coming artist to look at female faces, young and old, middle age
Hmm.
in their primes, to kind of look at how faces changes because we look at faces so much that
Yeah.
you just gotta, be careful.
Well, let me
You know,
demonstrate here. I can demonstrate what I'm
mhm.
talking about, right?
Right.
Like if you look at this right here. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta go over here. Sorry. Look right here, for instance, on this page, right?
Hmm.
All right. Now we see that on this one page, of course, we just copied and pasted this image so they're the same. We
Yeah.
have, but the girl, they didn't do that. We see there's a changing of expression, so each one had to be drawn, right? But
Right.
from this first panel all the way down to here, it's not even the same girl. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's an issue, I think, for me. Whereas you get this
But it.
panel right here,
Hmm.
this page, um, you can see that overall, I think the girl from here to there is a little different, but she kind of looks like a hobbit or a dwarf woman here, and then it looks like a kid here, or a scrunched up adult. But then this is kind of cool the way the page is laid out. Is cool, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about with this book. And you can see the interior art now. It's not bad. It's very interesting. It's just the girl is what throws me in this book, right?
Well, if you go back to that panel, the one you were showing me different panels in between, um, maybe
This one right here.
yeah, you don't realize, but it actually shows weather effects. So she's actually aging. So this is the top panel is when she's younger,
Yeah.
and then she's growing up. So he's trying to convey her age. So from the top panel to the bottom panel, this is when she was younger, and this is how she got older.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just don't think it was successfully done. As I
Okay.
understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just my take, and I'm showing you guys the art so you understand, because it's not bad. It's good art, man.
Yeah.
It just kind of threw me a little bit. But as you said, I'm very picky.
Yep.
But I mean, this dude knows what he's doing. The art is very, especially on the men. The men in this are drawn really well. It's just the girl that I didn't really care for, and unfortunately, the whole thing is focused on her. This is her story, right?
Right.
Here's a future one. Now that's not a bad
Yeah,
female right there.
I think he has trouble drawing kid females
Maybe.
or kid in general because some of the other kids he kind of has he's struggling with
Yeah.
as well. But for adult male and female, he's pretty good.
Yeah. No, okay, I'll take that. Well, anyway, that's our last bit of comics for today, guys. Um, Interesting week, that I think, as far as things that I read, and looks like you had a lot more success than I did, so that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to like everything that we show here.
No.
These are just suggestions that if it catches your eye, give it a chance and read it. If not, that's all cool. But tell us what you think. Tell us, how we're doing with this show, and offer suggestions. We would like to know what you guys are reading
Hmm.
and what you guys thinks is cool, and say, hey, this is pretty awesome. Check it out.
Yeah.
Because that's how community and comics thrives. Because I remember back in the day, when we were kids, my friends say, "Oh, you gotta check this comic out, read
Yeah.
this," and we would hand each other's our comics and look at stuff
Exactly. Yeah.
together. So it's the same thing here. It's, now we have it more easy because we have the internet where we can um, share at the speed of light, more or
I
less.
know, right? And actually, it was interesting thing as we were kids, because I know with at least my guys, we'd roll them up and stick them in backpacks and just kind of just hand them around. They all get tattered up, but there wasn't anything about, ooh, we got to keep it pristine. Ooh, we got to collect it. It was just, hey, this is a comic and we're having fun with it, and we'd pass them around and we share them, and there wasn't anything other than the love of the comic book. It's during the course of my life, it has gone from just fun with comic books into this into something different, especially with the collector aspect and all that kind of stuff, which is nothing wrong with that. But it's definitely changed, I think, because when we were kids, we used
The
to do that all the time.
Right, the speculation market kind of hurt it as well because it showed it kind of drew the current practice that kind of made the comics fail because the publishers were not us, the casual fans or the reader comics. They were making more for the speculations.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of, we have to kind of move away from that and be like, no, as much as we like the collectors and they've been more or less keeping this industry afloat, we
Right.
have to, the enjoyment of reading a comic,
Hmm. Well, for
afraid
us,
to
that,
open it.
no, no, that's absolutely true. But for
Go
us,
ahead.
I think it had a lot to do with the fact that we didn't have money. So, one guy would get the Daredevils, the other guy would get the Captain America or the Superman or something like that, and we just that way we could read multiple comic books. I mean, we actually kind of thought like that, even though we were pretty young. It wasn't
Right.
until got older and started having your own part-time job you could actually afford comics. But
Pretty
anyway,
much.
guys, thank you very much for joining us. Keep in mind, we'd love to have you guys on the show to share and talk about what you want to talk about with the comics you're reading. It's an easy thing to do. Just go down in the links down below and contact me on Facebook or Twitter and tell me you want to be on the show. I think this is a fun one to be on. It's on a Sunday evening, so everyone's kind of relaxed and getting ready for the week to start. So I think it's a nice day to sit and talk about things we're enjoying. We'd love to have you on here. We've had a bunch of you in here with us, and we do appreciate taking your evenings and come over here and being with us. We definitely appreciate that. So, but that's all for today, and we got a new fresh week coming up with tons of things to do. Uh, Keep in mind this week, we yesterday we did do Baby Driver on Bunny Vision Movie Night. We didn't have a lot of people because I was in the process of an extremely long day yesterday, and I really couldn't see. I wasn't home, so I was trying to run things mobilely through my Apple, but and it didn't really work very well. So this week we were going to watch John Wick on the second, I believe. But what we're going to do
Right.
is we're going to move it to the 16th because this coming weekend, and once again, I got to go to Fukuoka. I got to deal with my daughter moving her to a new apartment, and then the week after that, I have classes in the city with the government responsibilities and stuff. So we're going to move John Wick to the 16th because we're certainly like having a lot more people than less. and we think it's a lot of fun. I guess some people are not necessarily interested in sitting down and watching a movie together, but some of us really enjoy that. Just it's fun to sit down and watch a movie and chatter over it and give commentary and just kind of have a laugh at some fun movies, you know. So we want to have a bigger crowd, so we are going to move that. So this week's Saturday show. We will have no show because I'm going to be on the road. So the second will I think it's the second, right? Yeah, the second will have
Correct.
no show whatsoever. We'll come back on the third and do the see what talk about what we read this week, just like today. And I think this week on Bugbear's Basement, we're going to be no, I don't think I know we're going to be playing a board game, checking out Tabletop Simulator, and that's a lot of fun. We kind of tested it last week, and people really enjoyed that. So come on back for that and watch us as we bumble through board games and laugh at Booster, or maybe he'll be laughing at us. Who knows? But anything else to announce for this week, dude?
No, that would be it for this week.
Cool. All right, man.
We'll give yeah, we'll announce things as it comes.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, come back and join us every 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because we will, during the week, we of course do our comics news today and we see what's going on in the communities and we have a good laugh at the silly stuff. And there's a lot of silly stuff going on right now, so I'm sure we're going to have a fun week with that. And yeah, thanks, guys. And go ahead, Denali, take us out, man.
All right. Well, as always, thank you for joining us here at FanSpeak. We do appreciate your involvement. Make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Leave comments because we always read them. We always like feedbacks. And if you haven't joined our Facebook page, FanSpeak group, so we have a lot of things going on there, and we try to keep everything updated on those pages as well.
Mm,
But as always, your perception shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
namaste. Later, guys.
Namaste.